Okay, YouTubers, this is a 20 millimeter Amocan stove. This is my version. After watching, like everybody else, lots of videos on YouTube, I decided to make one. I have a cylinder stove, the cheapo military kind that everybody buys for about 70 bucks, and it works. The only problem is that the roundness on top does not provide a great cooking surface. And if you're in a tent, you're not going to want to have to go outside to cook, and it was just taking too long to even boil water. So I decided that I was going to try this after watching a lot of videos. Got this off of eBay for about 36 bucks including shipping. So the Amocan was a pretty good deal there, and this is my version. First thing you'll notice is that I have a simple coat thing that goes on the side, and you can hang stuff from it, you know, different utensils, whatever, and it closes like this, lays flat, nice and tight, so for transport, or you can remove this if you wanted to, so that's a possibility. Then on this side I put just a jerry-rigged it basically, but this thing is basically a pot holder, so that when you're cooking and you want to have a little bit of extra table room, you could put it here. Might keep things warm if you get it close enough to the stove, but it can support a pretty decent amount of weight. And what's nice about this as well is that this thing can be lifted off of here. Don't mind the aggravation of this, but this can be removed, and then also put that inside for transport. This is a decorative canister, just cheap tin. It's not super watertight, but it's not too bad. It holds about 40 ounces of liquid, and I put this little gizmo on here, you know, just to release water. And believe it or not, this thing will get hot in here, enough for instant coffee. And in fact, if you leave it on long enough, it'll definitely boil, because it was a lot better working than I actually thought. But this thing also can be removed. It's a little tough. The holes need to be fixed a little bit. But this comes off for transport. If I can get it. Well, can't do it right now, but it definitely comes off. There we go. So it comes off. You can put that inside as well if you want to. I got to fix those holes on the back of that. It's a little bit rough. You'll notice that the door has a lot of holes in it. Probably not enough. You could regulate this, but to be honest with you, I put a lot of holes in here because during the initial first burn, none of these holes were here, and I only had 4 holes, and it just, with this fiberglass insulation on here, this thing is tight. When I close this door under some pressure right here, that thing is tight, and it just was suffocating the fire. So I had to put more holes in. I don't know how the next burn will go. That'll be determined later. The expanded metal in there, which you have to, unfortunately, buy. And then I changed the baffle. I had a smaller baffle, and then I put this bigger one. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it covers about a good third of the whole back end. It's about even with the lid, I guess. So it's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches from the very top of it. And that's, you know, right now that's still in the works. I don't know if it's going to work well or not. This is from a pellet stove. Someone gave it to me, so it's really solid metal. And I did a nice job cutting it in there, bolting it in, so it's solid as a rock. Unfortunately, it's very airtight too. For not even putting any glue or anything around this, or a sealer, it's pretty dang tight. Unfortunately, that means that I have to use pellet stove pipes to put on here, and they're going to probably fit great, but they cost more, not the cheap galvanized stuff. So I'm going to put one section, or 1 foot section of the better pipe, and then hopefully the rest of the stack will be cheap galvanized stuff that I used during the initial burn, and they work fine. But my only big problem was I bought a hot water heater gas vent that had aluminum on the insert, and that melted. I mean, it was just incredibly hot. So that's something I'm still working on too, with the venting. These legs are basically just long bolts that I put in here, and the main reason why they're as long as they are is so that I can sit and cook on top without being on the ground kneeling, and you know, just it brings it up higher, because these are at least 10 or 12 inch bolts, and it brings it up top. I put the wood here just for stabilization, and the top, I removed the inner lid, the inner liner, and the rubber gasket for cooking purposes. That's the whole reason why I did this, and it does work. I had 2 pots on here. One was a medium, small little pot, but I filled it up with cold water, and within no time it was just boiling away. So it works great. I even did some Jiffy Pop popcorn, you know, the kind that you shake. That worked great. So the thing does work for that purposes. So it's still a project that I'm still working on, but we'll see how the venting does. That's going to be important, because I mean, the thing burned great with the door open or even slightly ajar like this. It was burning no problem. No smoke was coming out. The smokiest part about the whole thing was burning off the old paint. It was smoking and stinking up a storm, but got that done, and I repainted it with that high heat paint. So I'm pretty sure I got all of that bad stuff, because it burned for hours, and it was all done smoking by the time we were done for the night. But the venting, airflow is the key. If you can get a good airflow going, anybody could build these stoves. But I think you gotta have air in front. I think the baffle is going to try to eliminate some of the flames from coming up here and keeping more heat inside. Whether or not my baffle, my size, and how I did it works, that's still up for debate. We'll find that out as I go. It's a work in progress. So thanks for watching. I mean, I try to keep everything on the cheap, you know. I mean, some of this stuff is just all scraps that I found around the house. You know, I didn't try to buy too much. Unfortunately, I have to deal with the pipes. So, but probably the whole thing is going to be under $80 or so. So, about the same as the military ones, but I think with the flatness on top here and the size of it, you could load it up with a nice amount of wood, and I think it'll actually work. So we'll have to wait and see. But thanks for watching.